So it's been quite a while since I last used this class. I think that was since last year December, that's 2020 December, and yeah, that was just after I returned to Dragon Raja after a long break. So I used this for a while, and I was able to defeat. I mean, this was the class that started helping me with my breakthrough, rather. Hope my tongue will be like this for the rest of the video. Anyhow, welcome to a Puppeteer's guide, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. If you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe icon and let's start with the guide. So as I was saying, this was the class that helped me defeat 30,000 battle rating, higher than me. That was the highest I could go. I mean, even Reaper didn't help me with that. But this was the game changer rather. So anyhow, the Puppeteer class is, first thing you should all know, it's a range class. Well, you could say it's definitely not a physical attack class, it's a magic attack class, and it is kind of not as long ranged as the Phantom Sound or the Soul Dancer or even the Reaper, but it's kind of like a mid-range to a little long-range combat. But you do have a talent that can help you increase the range limit of the class skills. So anyhow, that's one part of the Puppeteer class. The other thing you should know about the Puppeteer class is it's the most tanky. Yeah, I said the most tanky. Yeah, it's the most tanky magic attack class. Now, I'm not talking about dodging damage like the Assassin's Crystal or the shield of the Phantom Sound. This class has the ability to soak up damage without any shield, just like get hit and still keep on going without any healing. So it doesn't have any healing like the Phantom Sound or the Soul Dancers or even the Reaper, but it does have the ability to absorb damage thanks to a lot of its talents and passives and this skill. But we'll get out to that when we explain skills. The main strong point of the Puppeteer class is its bleed. I really hope this isn't a long video. I'll try and explain things or summarize things up for you guys. I don't know, you guys should let me know. Do you want long detailed guides, or do you want, like, you know, summarized guides but still kind of detailed in a way? Just let me know. So that's it about the class. You'll have to bleed your opponents to death. So definitely there'll be two ways to play this, either being tanky as hell and using your bleeds to survive, or dealing as lot of damage as you can, still using your bleeds, but you won't be bleeding as much as you'll be focused on DPS. But anyhow, that will be your choice. Also, another thing you should know about the Puppeteer class is it has the most control immunity amongst all the magic attack classes. Yeah, it has so many abilities to break free from being controlled without super armor. Now, if it's been controlled except by the Soul Dancer's dock, if it's been controlled by almost any other stun skill, it can break free from them with either this transform ability or the Omni Guide ability rather, or the transform skill right there. So the Puppeteer class can help you resist a lot of stun, especially the stuns of the Blade Master. If you play the Puppeteer properly, did I just say Puppeteer? If you play the Puppeteer properly, you can resist all that and reduce the damage you receive. So it's for those who like to deal so much damage, but let's say to be tanky, those who want to be tanky but still like magic, this class is for you. Getting into the video and talking about stats. For the Puppeteer, it's a magic class, so definitely magic attack is the first thing you should increase and focus on. Next will be wind attack. It is a wind element class. The next few stats I'll suggest for you to focus on will be critical level. Get it as high as you can, not insanely high, but just high enough. Your defenses, because this class, if you have a lot of defense, you see I have 169 now. I try to do these videos without any food buff, but they are not completely expired. Anyhow, if you can get your magic defenses as high as you can, that will be very useful for you. Not just your magic defense, but your physical as well. Get them both high. And finally, the stats I'll suggest you can increase as much as you can should be your attack power. Just get this baby as high as you can. It's gonna help you a lot in the long run, and it isn't as problematic as multi-strike or critical level. Those two might or might not proc, but attack power is continuous. It's all your hits, even if they're critical or do not critical, or if they are multi-strikes or not. Attack power helps you with all that. So those will be for the stats. Focus on all this, and yeah, that should be helpful. For CDR is kind of important for this class because it does have the longest cooldown in the game. I mean, it has one skill that does 28 seconds cooldown. I think that's even longer than the Assassin's Shield. That's your crystal. So CDR is kind of important for this class, but I wouldn't suggest you go so crazy for it. Just get it average. You can walk around it if you're low on CDR. I'll show you that in the talent section. So let's go on to the cores. For the cores of the Puppeteer, I kind of forgot where cores were for a bit. Alright, so for the cores, I'll tell you two core builds. The first will be for the balance build, that's to increase your damage and everything, and the second one will be for critical. For those who do not have enough crits and they feel they want to go crazy on crits, that build will be for you. So for the balance build, or the first build, is 9 fire, 5 wind, increase your critical, and 2 water will help your CDR. Now you could either use 2 water or earth. For the other build, which is the crit build, you want to go 9 wind, get as much as this as you can, 5 fire, and 2 water or earth. Now for the allies, this class is critical damage focused. If you can get that as much as you can, just focus on allies that can get that for you. So that will be, an example will be Eri. The main area, actually, she has the passive that increases the character's critical damage by a lot. That's 15% for her. So if you have any other ally, if you don't have Eri, but if you have any other ally that can increase your critical damage, I will suggest you go with them. If you do not have any ally, or you just do not want to focus on critical damage, you could supplement with other allies like I do right here. I use College Eri. She increases all my damage, not just my critical, but all my damage by 2%. If you want to go CDR focused, you need allies like Angel. They have these to increase your CDR level, but I'm not really suggest this unless you actually have the Drac. What's the name? If you can mix it up with the Drac.
One eternity later. A few moments later.
Endless Thirst. Sorry, I kind of got lost looking for it. I always forget where this Drac is. So if you can mix it up with this, that's gonna help with your CDR. You're gonna be spamming that a lot more. Your skills CDR, I mean, this 28 seconds one is gonna come down to probably around 20 seconds. I know it doesn't seem like much, but hey, it is what it is. Alright, so that'll be it for the allies. For the skills, we first have Omni Guard. That's this one I just did over here. It buffs you up and helps you reduce the damage you receive by up to 50%. It can reduce the damage received by that amount, and it also gives you control immunity from all these stuffs like the Soul Dancer's Dog, the Blade Master's Stun, even the Assassin's Stun. If you perform this and those enemies or those opponents use any of that skill on you, instead of you being stunned, you will get a super armor. That's this glow. You will get this glow on your body for 4 seconds, protecting you from their stun. Next will be Paper Hurricane. This is your highest damage, I believe. Yeah, this is your highest damage and your longest ranged attack. It deals a lot of damage and pushes the opponent back. Then it gives you transformation points. Transformation point is this thing over here that surrounds my skill, this glowing icon over here. I'll get to that later. Your next skill, and kind of most important one after Omni Guard, will be this Razor Wind. Razor Wind actually deals quite a lot of damage, but it's focused more on bleed. The bleed it puts on your opponents deals damage based on the number of steps or how far they actually move. So the more the opponents move, the more damage they receive from Razor Wind. And let's use one over this guy here. And you can see that sign on him, that means he's bleeding. So he takes damage based on how far it goes. It doesn't last that long, I think about 5 seconds or so, but it deals quite a lot of damage if combined with moves like Paper Hurricane or Force Cleaver, which is what I just performed. This Force Cleaver, it deals quite a nice amount of damage, and it has the chance to change into another skill. Oh, perfect, that's this Suppressing Spirit. Suppressing Spirit, you see it is that big paw, deals quite a lot of damage and can stun the opponent. And finally we have Paper Hurricane, which is your lowest cooldown skill, and yeah, I like it. Funny enough, I like it and Force Cleaver the most in all this. Usually I do not like Paper Hurricane that much because of the long cooldown, but these 3 skills are pretty cool if you rotate them properly, and we're gonna explain that more in the talent section. And finally you have your transformation, which merges you with your puppet over there, and 2 of you become one. and your damage dealt is increased. You inflict mark of fate on your opponent. Mark of fate is something that enables you to keep dealing a lot of damage to the opponent and reducing their defenses, and it's just an overall buff for you. It's like seriously good, but the problem with it is it takes too long for this bar to get filled up. It needs to get filled up to 100%, and each of your skill kind of only increases the bar by about 1 to 1.8%. So yeah, that's it's kind of annoying trying to get that up, honestly. So I do have two talent builds. The first is the tanky one, and the second is the CDR DPS build. Alright, so I'm gonna explain this before I go any further so there won't be any misunderstanding. These two builds aren't the only builds you can have for this class, but I'm trying to just simplify things perfectly. Please pay attention because I'm gonna explain this build for you. The tanky one is for those players who aren't high in battle rating, who aren't so confident in themselves of out damaging their opponents. This build is for you. Definitely you want to have Limitless Will for the S level talent, because using Life Thief can be good. It can reduce the time needed for you to get into transformation state, that's you merging with your puppet, but nah, it takes too long still. I mean, I used this and it was still too long to get into the puppet state. But so I use this mainly for PvP, for 1v1s, for battlegrounds. I think this is better. But for battlegrounds, you really want to change your A level talent from this to either Suppressing Spirit or Chant, because the chances of you having a 1v1 duel in battleground is going to be quite difficult. So what are the odds of you placing a laceration on your opponent? So for 1v1s, you go like this. B level talent is going to help you reduce all the damage you receive once you perform your Omni Guard. That's your first and most that's your first skill. This one, whenever you perform this, the damage you receive is going to be reduced, so that's quite helpful. And yeah, for C level talents, it's just to help you reduce the cooldown of first cleaver. That's your second skill. Like I said, this class's skills cooldown are seriously long, so this is just to help you get around that. Now for the deep talent for this build,
in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, cause you can't stop it from
and next is the cooldown DPS build. This build is focused mainly on spamming. Like I said, the cooldown of this class's skills are quite long, so with this build you'll be able to spam skills like, let's say this. Your number 1 and 2, you see it's reset immediately. I can keep spamming it, and just like that, as long as there's an opponent, I can keep spamming those skills thanks to this build. Instead of me waiting 18 seconds for the cooldown or 3 seconds for the other one, I can actually just spam it in almost like 2-3 seconds every time. I can keep spamming this as long as I am lucky enough for it to proc. Yeah, so that's the build of all these ones. With the A level talents, every time, and me spamming my skills, each time I perform first cleaver and it hits an opponent, and so the opponent has and it hits an opponent and the opponent has that bleed on them, it's gonna be able to stun them for about 2 seconds, 1 to 2 seconds. So this stun is quite useful. Do not think that that stun isn't useful. It's quite very useful for 1v1 duels. It might not be that good against blade masters, but like I said, the bleeding is the most important thing, and you being able to spam is quite helpful. Then for the deep talent of this build,
in the sky, gazing far
Now know that this build is more damage focused. You're probably going to be dying a lot faster if you do not have enough battle rating for this, or you not play properly as compared to this one. With this one you survive a lot longer, but you will not deal as much damage as you will with this. But I don't know, it depends on how you play, I guess. But if you're going to go for player vs monsters, I'd suggest you go with this build. It's more DPS focused and will enable you to perform more damage. And if you feel you die a lot in the dungeons, then definitely go with the tanky build. So I guess that explains why I named them tanky and cooldown DPS. So those are the two builds I use. There could be other builds out there, but these are what I focus on mainly. For EX, for everything I use Undying. That's the main EX. I use this one for Undying. It has the ability to let you survive longer and helps you instantly reset your Omniguard's skill. So the cooldown of the Omniguard, no matter what it's at, will instantly be reset once you perform this, and it gives you the ability to block 50% of damage received. So this is just to help you keep tanky. The cooldown is quite high, but hey, it's helpful. For the support EX, I would say Minefield and Holy Judgment. Let's just bring them out. Those two are very important for this class and any other class for PvP, so we'll take them out of the equation. Use any of them if you want to. For other options, let me give other options apart from Minefield and Holy Judgment. The first option I'll give will be Dustbuster. This is very good, especially if you're below level 120s. This will help you in places like battlegrounds, like Day of Liberty and stuff. This will help you survive longer, trust me. The problem with this is the cooldown is quite long, so as long as you've gotten an other EX like Royal Fire to, I think, is it level 6 or 7, once you've gotten it there and it unlocks this dual defense protection and also the Scorch ability, Royal Fire will be better than Dustbuster in that aspect, especially because the cooldown is 45 seconds, so it's quite helpful. Those are the two support EX apart from Minefield and Holy Judgment I would suggest for this class. And I think that'll be it for the EX. Next is Dragonblood. For Dragonblood, this is quite simple really. I mean, you already have it listed out for you. The dragon that best for this class is, I think, the Wingless Owl, right? Yeah, the Wingless Owl. The Wingless Owl has the ability to increase your master's crit rate and critical damage. And like we all know, the Puppeteer is based on critical damage. So this is perfect for you. If you do not want to use this, then I'll suggest you use, that's for the 5 stars. 6 stars, I'll suggest one like Fenrir. Fenrir is quite useful, especially the shield that increases the damage absorption the lower the health of the master. So with this, you'll be able to survive quite a bit longer. If you do not have Fenrir as a 6 star and you do not want to use him, or you just don't like Fenrir, then the other options I have for you will be either Leviathan, that's this whale over here, or Norton, that's this bad guy over here. And that'll be it for the dragons. For the gear sets, this is based on the build you choose to focus on mainly. That is between the tanky build or the cooldown DPS build I've shown earlier. Now if you're going for the tanky build, you definitely want to use 6 Krakens. That's Kraken's Raw for level 120s, or 6 War Trees for level 130s. For those level 110 and below, I'm sure you can find something that's related to this over there to help you. It will help you with the extra shield. Instead of you dying, you have 6 seconds immunity at 4p set, and at 6p set you have an extra shield that can absorb a crap ton of damage. That's 3 million damage it can absorb for 12 seconds. So with this you'd have more survivability. For the other 4p sets, you could either use Frigga or Ragnarok, depending on your choice. I would advise you go with Frigga because of the hit percent rate increase at 2p set and the damage increase at 4p set. Also it gives dexterity, which like we all know increases crit, so yeah, that will be much more helpful. Now for the DPS, I'll suggest that's for those who are confident in their damage and don't really care about the tankiness that much. They feel like the class tankiness is enough for them. If you're using the seed cooldown DPS build, then 6 Frigga, that's 6 Frigga or Venom. This will help you with ceasing your opponents and continuously stunning them. It is quite useful and I use this personally. I appreciate it a lot. Then for the 4-piece set, you go with Kraken's Raw, 4-piece Kraken's Raw or 4-piece War Trees 4. This will help you with surviving a little bit longer. I mean, there's no healing for this class, but with this you'll be able to stay a little while longer in the battlefield, especially if your kid is killed. It can then heal you a little and you can keep going. But if you are super confident, you could go with 6 Freya or 6 Venom and 4-piece Sutures or Ragnarok. That's pure DPS right now, so you're just trying to demolish or destroy your opponents. That's it for the sets. For 7 scenes, in no particular order, I think Filth will be quite useful for you. That's this one. The bleeding and stuff is very helpful because you're just gonna keep having the bleed on the opponents, and if you time this with the cooldown DPS build, you're gonna be having a lot of cooldowns on your first cleaver skill, enabling you to deal more damage. Next will be Pride. That's this one over here. It's gonna help you deal more damage. And finally, Gluttony. That's this one. With Gluttony, it's just gonna help you survive longer, dealing more damage. And I think when you upgrade it to, it poisons the opponent as well, so that's quite useful. And when you upgrade it to Broken Mirror, it reduces the damage your opponents deal to you by 10%. So yeah, this is gonna be quite good. Alright, so that'll be it for the 7 scenes, and that's all about the Puppeteer class. Now, EXs like Vortex and Sovereignty and the others, they are quite good, but I would not suggest you use them for this class. If you are worried about cooldown, then I suggest you go with the other build. That's the second build I suggested earlier on. That's this one. Now I'm going to show you how it works. This build is basically focusing on you having bleed on your opponent as much as possible. An example is if I put this bleed on my opponent and you see it immediately gave me Suppressing Spirit. I use that and I've gotten the mark of it. I can keep spamming this. So it's just like that. As long as the bleed is on the opponent, and I can keep spamming this as much as I want, or as much as I'm lucky, as long as I'm lucky rather. And that's it for the Puppeteer build. You just have to be careful and be strategic, I guess. So this is not for those who just want to demolish their opponents. I don't think this class will be for you unless you are like seriously higher than your opponents in battle rating. And when I say higher, I don't just mean 30 or 40,000 battle rating difference. I mean about 100 or 200,000 battle rating difference. Then you'll be able to demolish your opponents with this class. And the best part of it all, it can be very annoying in places like bumps, in battlegrounds as well. This class can be very annoying. The Puppeteer can just come behind the opponent and push everybody away. The worst part is this skill of theirs that puts bleed is not a single target skill, it's an AoE skill. So most of the skills are AoE. Every single person that this skill hits gets bleed put on them. So the more they move, the more they bleed. Like this class is amazing, and I hope that this wasn't too long. Let me know in the comment section if you want long guides or you want an average time guides or short guides. Just let me know the time my guide should be. Maybe 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or do you want 8 minutes guys? I can try and diversify. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you haven't, subscribe and share. It's really helpful. Yeah, it's really helpful. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.